Hi all, in this video I am going to explain about Angular service, then Angular dependency injection and also HTTP client, how we will call an API using HTTP client. So we'll go to the application. So this is a one basic project setup from the Angular. By default I didn't change anything. So before that, before creating a service, I will explain why we need a service. Okay. Normally in the components, we are writing all the logics, and components are the responsible for the data that renders into template, right? So if some code is common across multiple components, copy paste those code in different components, it makes a duplication of code, right? So in order to avoid that, and it is not a good practice at all, same code has been repeated in a multiple components. So in order to avoid that, the same logic or same code which we have integrated in multiple components, what we can do is like we can make those common codes into the service. This is the main use of service. Okay, so if you want to have a common logic, you can integrate in the service. If you have to call an API, external APIs, that also you can include in the service file. Then how you will create a service in an Angular application. So in my application I have already installed Angular CLI. Okay, so today I am going to explain how you will create a new service using Angular CLI. So for that, as you are aware, Angular CLI, you can use ng command. So ng, instead of typing generate, you can type g. So ng generate, then S for service. So ng generate service. Then I'm not going to create a new module or new component. Okay, so instead I'm going to create a service inside the app. Okay, so by default it will focus inside the app folder. So if you want to create a new service inside the app folder, and you can directly mention app or whatever the service name you want to create, you can mention that. Okay, so app, uh, just app. So what I can show you, ng generate service app. Then what happens inside the app module, you will get two new files with the name I have specified. So if you are specifying a different name, then a service file will be that particular name .service.ts. So this will be created automatically. So if you want to create a service inside, for example, I have a folder called new or something like that. So I have to create a service file inside that. What I can do is like ng generate service. Then for example, this is my component or new folder name new. Then what is your service name? So it is new. Don't mention again a service. It will be automatically append. So inside the new folder, I have to create a service named new, something like that. Okay. So I will do this way. So what happens here is it will create a new folder, and inside that it will create new.service. So it will be automatically, our focus will be inside the app folder. So you can create service files inside any folder. Okay. So this is how you will create a service using Angular CLI. I'm just deleting this one. I don't want. I just want to share how to create. Okay. So we will go to the service file next. So you can see in the service file, you can see at injectable Providedin Root. I will explain what it is for. Okay, and you will create it is automatically create a unit test case file, service file also, spec file also. Okay. So for now in the app.service, what I am going to do is like I will write a function. Okay, which is just assume that I have a first component and I have a second component. In the first component and the second component, I have to get some user details or some common thing. Now I am just considering I have a user list, so I have to get the user list in the first component and the second component, then how I will write it. Okay, now I am not using any HTTP client or any API request. Now I am creating a dummy JSON. So it is a, just assume that it is a reusable code. Okay, then get user list. I'm just creating a function name like this way, and I am returning an array of object. Okay, so name John Doe, email johndoe at yyyy.com. Again creating another user, user2, mail ID is user2 yyyy.com. So don't think too much, just assume like it is a some common code which I have to use across multiple sections, and this common code what it is returning some data. Just assume that way. Okay, maybe it is a console.log also, you can just try it out. Then how I will use in the component. Okay, so now I have created only one component. Okay, whatever components you have to use this service is the next question. For that, we will use a dependency injection. So how you will inject this particular service in a component, in multiple component. Okay, so if you go to this component, then if you want to use your component, first you have to inject that service here, right? So for that, you can use the constructor and you can inject. So private or public, whatever. So I'm just using that particular service only in this component. Okay, so I'm just using private, and I'm referring the app service as any variable you like. You can mention that name and you have to import it. So when you are giving app service, don't forget to import that particular service in the import section inside the component. So I have get a local reference. Okay, so some reference I have got it, and I can use app service here. Then how you will use this? So I'm just implementing on it functionality. I hope you are aware of that on it on in it. So whenever this app component load, I am just calling that service and I am getting those user list. Okay, how I will implement that? Just integrating ng on it, and okay, so I got this app service. So then you can, if you want to get some data from the app service, this dot app service dot that get user list. So what is the function name is like, and it is returning some data. So get user list. So I have called the service and I have the data. So I'm just consoling the data. Then you can identify it has been returning some data or not. Okay. So I'm consoling. Sorry. Some issues showing app service get user list does not exist on the app service. Let's put it down. Inspect element. If you are consoling, you can see in the app.component.ts on the 17th line, I am getting those data. Then maybe you will confused. Okay, without I am not providing that, I never imported the service, then it is working. Okay, so after Angular 6 plus, when you are creating a new service, it will automatically come the service with an injectable. So when you are giving injectable provided in, you don't have to import the providers manually in the app.module.ts. Okay, before what we were doing is like, so I'm just commenting, this is a substitution. Injectable provided in root is a substitution of what I am doing right now. Okay, so if I am removing this and if I am in the app.module.ts, if you import app service and I am adding in the providers list, then if you are using this app service inside the app.component, then also it will work. You can see. So it is a substitution of another way. So for example, if you don't want to use this app service across all the modules, only I have to use in a one component. If that is the case, so in this case, what it happens is like in the app.modules, I am creating an app service and it will be create what it will be create a single or shared instance of the app service and it injects into any components that ask for it. Any components meet, so this component is asking that, right? So it will be inject that component, so it will be available, this instance will be available across all the components you are using, and it will be automatically injecting here. This is the functionality. So you can do the providers and it will be injected, then I will get a instance, a single instance. So it will be a single instance, a shared instance across the whole application. Okay, so the same as this one, I can remove. It has the same purpose, but it has one advantage. It is like, so for example, if some module is not using this particular service, then at the runtime it will remove that provider. Okay, that is the use of this at injectable provided in root. It will be automatically remove it if it is not using. Okay. Another way of injecting, so the one way of injecting across the whole module is like at injectable provided in root, so you don't have to manually specify that in the providers list. Okay, so that is one thing. And the another thing is like, okay, another way of doing is like, I'm and commenting this, instead of writing in the app.module.ts, if I want to use only app.module.component.ts, then we have an option called providers. In the component decorator, then you can mention app.service. Saving it, then also it will work. But the difference is like, so if you are injecting the providers in the component decorator, then what happens, this app service will create a new instance. So every time in every component, if you are trying to provide this way, it will be create a new instance instead of a shared instance. Okay, so if it is only a single use purpose in one component, you can use directly here. If it is a multiple components, you have to use it better, you can directly put in the providers list. But in the new latest Angular 6 plus, it will be come with the provided root in service, so you can use that way. Okay, I hope you understood. It is not complicating, but some other options is also there. Provided in root is there, any is there. Then if you want a lazy loading, or if you want to use that particular service or if particular service in a particular module, then you can mention that particular example test module, something like that also you can mention. So it is there. Okay, so you can go through the Angular tutorial. So it is there. We have a different option this for provided root, provided in. So I am just making it as a root. This is how you will use the app service in particular component. Okay, or multiple components you can use it. Then we will go, this is a simple functionality. This is all about common code you can use inside a component. Okay, so the next one is like HTTP request. What is HTTP? So if I have to call an endpoint, I have to call an API, I have to communicate with the backend service. Normally you can I hope normally it is like you will have a backend, you will have a front end, you will call the backend API and you will get some data and you will display it in the UI. Okay, this is the normal procedure. So how you will connect or how you will call a backend API in Angular is the next section we are going to cover. Okay. So for that you have to import HTTP client module. So this is the HTTP client module. So go to app.module.ts and in the section you can, if you are giving control dot, sorry, I think it is not automatically coming here. So you can import HTTP client module from the Angular common HTTP. Okay. So I am saving it. So this is a new section. You can forget about the previous thing about the services and dependency injections. So I just assume that this is a new session. So I'm just importing HTTP client module. Okay. The next section is like wherever you have to call the API. For example, I have only one service. Okay, in your service, you can create a, instead of returning a dummy data, I am calling the data from the HTTP request. For that, I have to, in the constructor, so first step is like in the module HTTP client module, I have to import it. The second step is in the constructor, I have to import HTTP client. I am referring HTTP client as HTTP here. Okay. From the HTTP. So make sure if you are injecting anything inside this constructor, you should have an injectable. So it is not really required, the provided in root as I mentioned, but injectable should be there if you are trying to inject anything in the constructor. So this is the provided in root. As I said, it will be automatically loaded initially. Okay. So this provided HTTP client, I have imported it. Then if you want to call any API, what you have to do is, show you, I have to call return, if it is a get request, return this particular variable. Okay, this dot HTTP dot get, then some URL. So from the Google, I don't have any backend URL, so I am just taking some dummy JSON from the Google. Okay, JSON response online API. It will have some API. I think this is a JSON. I'm just for the sake of doing, I'm just copy paste this particular URL. Okay, so just assume this is a backend API. It returns some data, and from that particular data, I am taking some response. I am saving it, so I have a get user list. Normally, this is not returning a array structure. Okay, so you can see here it is returning some object. Okay, so I can't directly access, as I have done previously, I can't directly access this get user list because this particular HTTP get or whatever HTTP client is not it returning an observable, so you have to subscribe it. Okay, so for doing that I can show you what it is returning. So if you are giving this dot app service dot get user list, that means we can check what it is returning first. You can see it is an observable, so it is not returning an object. Then how you will get the data is your next question, right? So I have imported service and I have called the app service, but it is returning observable. So you have to subscribe it. For getting the data of observable, you have to subscribe it. Then I am calling whatever the data coming from the observable, I am calling it as a response. So you can change any variable you want. Okay. Then if I console.log of the response, you will get the data. Yes. So this is all about how you will get. So it is maybe any API. So if it is a GET or POST request, you have to go to service. You have to change it, and if it is a POST, you have to submit some. It is a second parameter, put, delete. So based on that, from the HTTP client and from the HTTP client module, you can import and you can use that, and directly that service you have to be imported. Sorry, I forgot to remove from this providers list. So if it is injectable, if the injectable is there, you don't have to import this particular service in any module or any component.ts. You can directly use here app service and you can use it. Okay, that is a one point you have to think. You don't forget it. Okay, so you will get those data without any problem. You will get any data. So that is all about services dependency injection and also HTTP client. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe.